Rivalry out west. A battle. An animosity rooted in the fiber of our being. Grounded in the very dirt we stand on. Silver and gold. East and west. Oil and water. Dallas and San Francisco. 2 years of disappointment has rediscovered a lifetime of hatred. Shaping the legacy of those who came before and the potential of those who will come after. But the current chapter will be written tonight, one of new characters, returning cast members, and the opportunity for greatness.
Oh my God, go!
It's the Cowboys and the 49ers who will find success under the West Coast sun.
Santa Clara, California, where just a couple months ago, January 22nd, 2023, the 2022 Dallas Cowboys season came to a close. Today, Week 5 brings a whole new hope and a brand new chapter between two of the top rivals in the NFC. It's the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers as we welcome you in to Cowboys Pregame live here from the Star in Frisco. We're leading you up to kickoff on Sunday Night Football, 7:20 between these two NFC foes. And there's a lot of history between these two. 40 all-time meetings, this being number 40. 19 wins, 1 tie. It's completely even in the previous 39 meetings. The last 3 have been very interesting, going both ways. The most recent regular season meeting was back in 2020. The Dallas Cowboys won in a shootout. It was one of just 6 wins for the Cowboys in Mike McCarthy's initial tenure with the team. In 2021, both teams turned their seasons around. Both made it to the playoffs, where the Cowboys were upended at AT&T Stadium. Home field advantage, not so much against the San Francisco 49ers. They fell in that one 23-17. 2022, it was a similar story, except in the divisional round. Cowboys were on the road this time at Levi Stadium. Like I mentioned, back on January 22nd, they fell 19-12 in that divisional round. And 2023 brings a brand new possibility in the regular season as these two teams meet again. 4-0 are the San Francisco 49ers. 3-1 are the Dallas Cowboys. And the expectations are sky high yet again as I welcome in Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. We have Nick Eatman joining us from the sidelines in just a couple minutes. It might just be Week 5, but this week just feels different, as it does a lot of the time between the Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. What's on the line this week?
Well, I think what's on the line this week is just if you get the W here, you're moving one step closer to one of your goals, which is making the postseason. But overall, this is huge confidence-wise, because if you can go into Levi Stadium and beat a team at their own game, you got to think if you're the Cowboys, hey, this is all year, and no team stands in our way.
Yeah, I agree with that. You take that aspect into it, right? You have the pride factor. That's what I'm really leaning in on. The fact that these guys have busted you in your mouth the last 2 times that you faced them. They've knocked you off the pedestal the last 2 times you faced them. This is all about pride and respect. You need to take care of business tonight on that field.
I remember back, boy, when we had an NFC championship game against these guys. Previous to that, they had all the success. They came into our house and whooped us. We went up there, they whooped us. And then we had the NFC championship game. It was time to shine, baby. And we went up there through all the animosity, through all the adversity, and we rocked their world. That's what we expect today.
So, gentlemen, I mean, like you just talked about, it's just one game. And we're going to hear that kind of echoed throughout the pregame show of Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott. All these guys kind of look at it the same way, and you look at it as really a team game that's just a regular season game. But what would a win mean for this franchise to get the job done?
Well, like I said it earlier a little bit, I mean, it means that you're closer to your actual goal. But from a confidence standpoint, I mean, you got to think about it. This is a team that has come into Dallas, or you've gone up there, and they punch you in the mouth the past 2 years. If you're able to go up there and punch them in the mouth, take the fight to them, from a confidence standpoint, it's got to be huge, because then who's in your way? You've already knocked out one beast. You beat the Philadelphia Eagles last year a couple of times. this is the game where it's going to come down to who's going to be the strongest team, and hopefully it's the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it's going to mean that they're going to be 4-1 if they win this
Exactly,
ball
yes.
game.
Yep.
But aside from that, this is psychological warfare. As much as this is about a physical game, it's about executing your game plan, this is psychological warfare. If you go and you lose to a team 3 times in a row, with the core of both teams really being in place all 3 of those games, and you still take the L, psychologically, you're messed up.
Yes.
I don't care if you're a pro athlete. I don't care how much you're getting paid, Nate Dogg. You get punched in the mouth by the same person every single time, and you can't win, that's going to do something to you mentally.
You want this thing coming down to the fourth quarter, man, with 2 minutes left with Dak with that ball in his hands, man. You've played a perfect game. Now you just get that red zone. You punch it in, Tony Pollard. You do what you have to do. What I mean is no mistakes, no interceptions, no bad plays at the wrong time. And that psychological warfare comes into your favor.
Yeah, it's one of those things that along the way, it's just going to wear you down more and more, especially if things don't go your way. The Cowboys want to take it into the postseason with that same mindset, saying, hey, we can be one of the best teams in the NFC. On paper, they're supposed to be one of the best teams in the NFC, and they've looked like it 3 out of the 4 weeks so far this season. But, hey, the fans are riled up for this one. I know we're hyped up for this one. We're going to have a great show here over the next hour. But before we continue here in studio, we've got to check in at the Miller Lite House, AT&T Stadium. We've got a live watch party. I even heard we're on the screens out there at AT&T Stadium as well as we lead you up to kickoff between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. Let's check in with Shonda Music out there and see what the atmosphere feels like.
Thank you so much for checking in with us. We're at Miller Lite House at AT&T Stadium. The atmosphere is amazing. You couldn't have picked a better Sunday to be out here for a watch party. Fans are everywhere. There's so many activations going on. And of course, we're hanging out with Los Vaqueros, who always get the party going. So Kyle, we're going to check back in with you at the Star.
Hey, that's exactly what we anticipate from Cowboys Nation, right? A little bit of up-tempo. I mean, what's it going to feel like out there in Santa Clara, too? I'm sure that crowd is ready to go.
Oh, you know it's going to be rocking. There's going to be a lot of people out there waving those white towels with the Dallas logo on it. I can't wait to see the live shots.
Man, listen, you know California is Dallas Cowboys Nation. I don't care how many 49ers fans are down there. D-Town always shows up because guess what? They're like Pitbull. They're nationwide, man.
There we go.
From Thousand Oaks, baby, to Oxnard, baby, all the way up to Anaheim. We running this thing. Believe that.
Hey, that's the thing is we're giving a challenge to the West Coast of got to be loud tonight. If you're going to the game, I know you're probably watching us going and walking into Levi Stadium. Be loud, be proud, and let's go. Let's get it done on the road. Now, the Cowboys are a little bit of a different look than what they've seen the last 2 times they've faced the San Francisco 49ers, mostly because of Mike McCarthy as a play caller. This West Coast scheme, the Texas Coast, as we've liked to talk about it, it's a little bit different than what the Cowboys have seen in the past. 2021, the offense didn't get the job done. You can say the same thing in 2022. How will the West Coast scheme change things in this matchup?
I don't think they're going to go with the West Coast scheme all like that. Okay. To me, offensively, they're going to have to push the ball a little bit down the field. I understand this West Coast offense has been getting them straight for the past couple games, but they can't continue to run slants, shallows, and curls against the San Francisco defense. It's just too good. San Francisco is going to sit on all the quick stuff. So take a page out of last year's book, not the whole thing, just a page out of last year's book, and go ahead and push the ball down the field just a little bit to open things up for those underneath routes, but they can't go in there doing the same slants, curls, and shallows. San Francisco's going to eat that up.
I second that thought and that process because these guys were going to be like your local pastor. They're going to put hands on you, right? And no matter where you go, they're going to be with you the entire route, okay? At the line of scrimmage, they're going to be with you. When you get into your route, they're going to be with you. So you can't run slants because these guys are not going to be available to be open. You have to take your chances, put this thing down the field. Not only will you have an opportunity for some 50-50 balls, but I also think that you get some flags in your favor as well.
And also, when you had a short passing game, when you do the short passing game, make it be about your backs. Make it be about your tight ends. I think Jake Ferguson have a big day. I think Tony Pollard have a big day. Now we can get downfield.
Yeah, and at least throughout the season, the Cowboys have been getting the ball out quick with Dak Prescott. He's been throwing it very quickly out of the backfield. Second lowest pressure rate allowed in the NFL is Dak Prescott whenever he has time to throw it. Maybe he's got a chance to test this San Francisco secondary. We'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. Here's Mike McCarthy earlier in the week talking about the emphasis on this matchup, especially with the 49ers on the other sideline.
Well, statistically, it's one game. I mean, I think it's, you can only achieve one win out of this game. So we understand that, and we understand the importance of getting the 4th win. And winning on the road's tough. So all those focal points are still in place. I mean, so we're not, this is not all about what happened last year. This is not, walking down the street and you get a fight with a guy and you come out on shore end, and then every time you turn the corner you're looking for him. That's not this is about winning the game. This is about winning the next game, and but we know who we're playing. So, and I think we got to be very upfront and honest about that. I mean, we know who we're playing, and we have a good understanding how they want to play, and that's why you get to kick it off on Sunday Night Football.
Mike McCarthy and company about to take the field at Levi's Stadium, where we have Nick Eatman standing by. And Nick, I'm sure the atmosphere is fantastic out there on the West Coast. Plenty of Cowboys fans, I'm sure, showing up early in San Francisco, or Santa Clara, that is. I mean, what is the vibe around this matchup, and does it feel like a normal regular season game?
If you asked me a question, it was the perfect timing here for the 49ers. They blew a foghorn. I have no idea what you asked. Did you ask about atmosphere? I'll tell you this: the horn is loud, and now that they're kind of getting their pregame festivities kicked off. So that's what the atmosphere is. I would imagine that's what you were asking me. But yeah, it's been pretty quiet here until you started asking me a question. So timing is everything.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, the foghorn, is that a new thing? I mean, is that the first time you've heard that? Because that was a little bit different whenever we first tried to throw you on the sideline.
Yeah, I don't remember that one before, but they couldn't have timed it any better to throw off the timing. But it's okay, man. You're a professional. You can adjust better than anybody, so we were good.
So, okay, with that being said, how are the Cowboys going to make some adjustments on the offensive line? How are they going to make things happen up front? Do they expect to have all 5 guys back in the fold this time?
Yeah, for the first time since maybe one of those Oxnard practices where we're seeing left to right, with Tyron Smith and Tyler Smith and Biotish and Zach and Terrence Steele. I mean, we really didn't see it a whole lot because the way that they kind of, rested some of these linemen. Of course, we haven't seen it in the preseason or the regular season. So, that's what you hope for. This is what the Cowboys has signed up for when they said this is going to be our starting 5. So you can't ask for that any better. I think, they're obviously going to have to establish the run. They don't want to put Dak in 3rd and long. That's a recipe for disaster against any defense, especially against the 49ers. So, having that offensive line there, and then, of course, in the red zone as well, I think that's been, the key is that they just haven't been able to run the ball in. They get 1st and goal to 10 or 1st and goal to 9, and they're just not being able to get those yards on 1st down to set up a better opportunity to score, or maybe even set up a 4-down situation.
So with that being said, I mean, how much confidence does that give you in a guy like Tony Pollard making his return since the last time he suffered the injury in the divisional round on that same field in January? Does this bring some extra confidence knowing he's able to run the ball behind a fully healthy offensive front?
I think so. I mean, it's got to give him a little bit more confidence. What's the team confidence? Because he was their best playmaker. He was the guy, when he got hurt, I think the whole game changed. I remember being in the press box thinking, they're not winning this game now, when Tony Pollard got hurt. And I think that they've adjusted to the situation of trying to make sure that they have more guys now, more playmakers, more weapons on top of just him. But yeah, I mean, he's back, he's healthy, he's running the ball well, but they got to get him established because this is a test that tougher than anything they faced all this year.
So now that test also does shift to the defensive side of the football as well. Defensively, where do you feel like the Cowboys are going to be challenged the most by the San Francisco offense?
Christian McCaffrey, when he gets it, when he gets the ball, when he runs, when he catches, when he's out there, I think he's the guy that makes it go. Now they have other weapons, obviously, Kittle and Ayuk and Debo. I mean, maybe not in that order, but those guys are really good. But I just think the way Christian McCaffrey is, they got, to me, the same recipe that they did last year. They're going to have to do it again. The demoralizing thing is that wasn't good enough to win. But I think that is the recipe to try to win this game. They shut down McCaffrey for the most part. They tried to make Purdy be the guy that beat him. He did on a pass to Kittle. I mean, special teams was an issue with them not being able to get an extra point and also field goals at times. But, I thought that was the recipe to go win this game. They got to do it again and this time just get over the hump.
And I have a feeling we're going to hear a little bit more about Christian McCaffrey and different ways on slowing him down later on in the show. We'll also hear from Nick Eatman later in the show as well. Nick, thanks so much out there on the sideline at Levi's Stadium. Let's hear from Dak Prescott early in the week. There's plenty of pressure on Dak to get the job done, not only in the red zone, which has been a concern this year for the Cowboys, but to also get over the San Francisco hump that they haven't over the last 2 playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, this game's got a lot of good that can come from it. It means more than just one game. You got to treat it as one game, and at the end of the day, it will just be one game. But understanding these guys are undefeated, as you said, in the conference. Fighting for a 1 seed, always, you know what I'm saying, trying to get every game that you can. You don't go into any game you're thinking that we don't need this one or this one isn't as big as that one. But from a team that's been consistent in the past few years, knocked us out of the playoffs in the last 2 years, there's a lot that we can gain from this win that makes it definitely more than just one game.
What's better about what you're doing offensively in terms of how it matches up against what they do defensively?
What's better? I mean,
you've changed your play.
Yeah, I mean, we're confident in what we've got. There's a lot of good that's going to come from this and come from the changes that versus the past year of playing against these guys, and for one, my play. Simple as that. I mean, you go back, you turn on that tape. I wasn't my best in either of those games, and wasn't close to it. The last one, 2-3 plays away from winning that game, and that game being a different score. So, I'm not going to get into the coaching changes and this and that. We've got to go out there and execute the game plan that the coaches have for us, and they've got a great one as we've buttoned that up for the most part today, and we'll put some final touches on it for the rest of the week, but confidence held in what we've got.
Dak Prescott speaking on the challenge and the matchup at hand. Here are his numbers over the last 2 playoff matchups with the San Francisco 49ers, over 460 passing yards. You got the rushing totals there. The touchdowns and the interceptions, certainly you want to see a better discrepancy there, a longer list of touchdowns as opposed to the interceptions. And then he took the 6 sacks against this highly vaulted front 7 and what they bring to the table from a pass rush standpoint. Back here with Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. Isaiah, I'll start with you on this one. What does Dak Prescott need to prove today, and does he have to play the perfect game?
No, I don't really believe that there is anything such as a perfect game, but I do believe that Dak Prescott, you can see how irritated he is. You know, when he's been being asked these questions about the last few times they faced the 49ers over and over again, and he's ready to go out there and prove that he's better than what he's put on film. You just heard him allude to how he was not his best version of himself, but I do think that he's going to try to button some things up. But in order for him to be successful against these guys, I don't think they're going to be able to stay within their current offensive scheme. They're going to have to open up this Texas Coast, West Coast offense and really start pushing the ball down the field, which means he's going to have to take higher risk. Hopefully he can go ahead and take care of business in that regard.
Just draw for what you've been doing these last 2 or 3 weeks, Dak. Be efficient. Know that you can beat these guys if you just play your game. If you see something over the games we've won, when he see things, he let the ball go. When he's not sure, he's double clutching. So make sure you and your receivers are on the same page. Let your short game take care of your long game, and you should be okay.
Is that just film study for the most part? Is just knowing your reads and moving in that direction?
I'm going to let a quarterback answer that. I'm definitely going to let a quarterback answer that.
What do you think, Isaiah?
It's just trusting your game and being confident. You know, it's no different than Big Nate Dogg on offensive front. When he sees a front, he goes out there, he makes the call, and you go with it, right? If you're going to be wrong, you're going to be 100% wrong. There's no pulling plays back, right? You can't pull something back. Once you make your decision, go with it. Trust your eyes, the film study, the preparation, the scheme, all that stuff. You have to be rest assured that what you're seeing is what is true, and you live with the results.
I just believe when I see a 3 technique and I got a certain thing to do, I block that 3 technique versus when he head up, it's all about mauling. So I maul. But you know what? You do what you see. I agree with that 100%, but I ain't never played no quarterback.
Nate's just saying that his job's much more simple than what a quarterback brings to the table. That's all Nate's saying. He said, you just be physical, be more physical than stronger than the guy in front of you. It's not always like that. And by the way, we're going to talk about that later on in the show as well. Let's take a look at the inactive list. And here's the good news, everybody. Read the inactives. Peyton Hendershot, Eric Scott, Awesome Richards, Jalen Brooks, Viliami Fehoko, Israel Mukwamu, and Trey Lance. Would you like to maybe point out 2 guys that aren't on that list? Tyron Smith is not there. Zach Martin's not there.
Yeah.
Tyler Biotish isn't there. And honestly, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here, neither is Terrence Steele or Tyler Smith. So with that being said, for the first time in 630 days, over 2,000 snaps, the Cowboys are going to employ their best 5 offensive linemen on the field at the same time. Isaiah, what does that do for a confidence in an offense?
It's everything. You got Mr. Elbow straps back, and and Tyron Smith. Listen, when you have all 5 of your guys, you're 100% confident as a quarterback. Okay, when you have all 5 of your guys up front, you're 100% confident as a running back. So everything that you want to do, you're doing it without any hesitation, without any second guessing, without any questioning the abilities of your guys up front. Now, most people want to say, well, they're professional athletes. You shouldn't have to second guess it. That's not the real. Okay, the real is when you have your guys, you know that you can go out there and dominate and take care of your business, especially when you're facing a front as good as that as the 49ers.
And I like how Mike Solari stayed with his plan. He did not move Tyler Smith around left guard, left tackle. He let him stay at left guard. We played a dog at that left tackle. Now that's one guy that has to make that adjustment. These other guys have had a couple of weeks to play together, so the rhythm of this offensive line is good. Now you get a machine like Tyron, he's 100% healthy. Now this thing can click. The game will be different this day.
So with this being said, Nate, I mean, best 5 has been a term that's been thrown around since Mike McCarthy joined the Cowboys staff in 2020. But it's also an interesting thing because continuity has also been in the same level. This starting 5 has never taken a snap together at any point in a live football game. The last time they actually did so, other than really regular season practice this week, was in training camp of 2022, the first snaps that we saw with Tyler Smith as a Dallas Cowboy or as a professional. So is there a level of continuity issue we should maybe think about whenever we're looking at this offensive line?
Not as big because the only guy we're putting in is Tyron Smith. That is the only guy. The other 3 or 4 guys have played together. They've gotten a few weeks together. They know what to do. Tyron don't need no babysitting. If Tyron is 100% healthy, he going to come out there and he going to play his game. And you know what? And still got to deal with Bosa because Bosa going to stay over there. So I'm not saying the guy that's over there ain't as good, but you know what? Tyron is a machine.
Listen, Tyron Smith is a grown man.
Yeah.
Okay? And when you have him over there, even as Tyler Smith, you have your big brother back. And anytime you have your big brother going with you to battle, you feel a little bit more confident, okay? And you can do a little bit more than you could do when you're by yourself or even when you're with your cousin, okay? And Chuma Adoga. You got your big dog back. Let's go ahead and roll.
Man, and I'm sure the confidence level just skyrockets with guys like Tony Pollard, Dak Prescott. I mean, we talked about it a little earlier. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to throw the football around a little bit against this San Francisco defense in order to have success. Now they have 5 guys in front blocking for your best weapons in the backfield. And it's certainly something to be excited about if you're Cowboys Nation. Here's Tony Pollard's numbers in the 2 playoff games against San Francisco. Of course, he was shut down really in that 2021 wild card game, but he was the number 2 back at that time. Really didn't take over as the starter. But in 2022, he was more of a featured back throughout the season, and then he went down in that 3rd quarter after really struggling to get going and getting off the ground as well. How big is it to see Tony Pollard get in the matchup early and have some success?
I think it's awesome to have him back, and I know that he wants some payback as well, obviously coming off the injury from the last time they faced each other. But the reality is your running back and their opportunity for success is predicated on their offensive line, and I know we just touched on them. The thing about having Tony Pollard in the backfield is the big splash ability. You're going to be able to have those big splashes from time to time. I truly believe that this is going to be a 2 yards, 1 yard, 3 yards, and then you'll get a big splash play because of Tony Pollard's agility and his speed. But that's what he brings to this game aside from the assignments up front.
And you know what? Man, we ain't talked about as great as that's the pass catching ability. I hope we use it this game. Swing him out of the backfield. If you can get a screen or 2 in there, put him in the in a short slot, close right behind the tight end, and let him run some options off of that right there. Steal some of the 49ers things that they do with McCaffrey, because this kid can do it too.
Yeah, because, Tony Pollard and Christian McCaffrey are the only 2 players in the NFL since Week 8 of last year to have over 1,200 yards from scrimmage and at least 12 touchdowns. So the fact that both of those guys, like you said, they can be utilized in a similar way, but now you've got all 5 guys up front blocking for Tony Pollard, which is a huge plus for this Cowboys offense. Here's what he had to say about that matchup last year where he kind of felt like he let the team down even though it was an injury he couldn't control.
It was frustrating, especially when I got hurt. We were in the red zone, about to score, driving the ball. We had a good drive going, and then that kind of killed the momentum, and then I felt like I kind of let my team down, so it hurt.
Tony, even though you were hurt and there was nothing you could do about it, you felt like you let the team down, even with an injury?
Yeah, it hurt once you're so invested. You got so much vested into the season. And, you got goals and you know where you want to be, but it hurts once you get cut short like that.
Tony, what makes Fred Warner an elite linebacker, and where would you rank him out of linebackers you faced?
Well, he's definitely up there. He's one of the best backers in the league. Just, his speed, his IQ for the game, the way that he's able to, always be in the right positions. He's a sure tackler, a guy that you got to be aware of on the field.
Does he hit different?
Yeah, he's a hard hitter.
Tony Pollard knows the challenge at hand. Running against this front seven will not be easy, especially with Fred Warner on that second level, a heat-seeking missile with 33 tackles on the season. He's got 2 tackles for loss, leads the team in those categories, and this San Francisco defense really begins and ends with Fred Warner. And, is this just a byproduct of the system, or what sets him apart, Barry?
No, to me, when you talk about athleticism, this guy has it all. Size, strength, speed, all of that. But I think what separates him from other linebackers out there is the football IQ. You'll see him time and time again, beat blockers to the point of attack, and when he gets there, he arrives like a missile. Think Sean Lee with Micah Parsons' athleticism. Ooh. And that's Fred.
Whoa.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Yes. That's a student of the game with some versatility as well.
Yeah. And because of his football IQ, he's allowed to play fast. And that's the reason why he's so dominant in my eyes. The reason being, he watches the film. He knows what the keys are. He knows what the offensive line schemes are. And when he sees that, he shoots the gap. He comes again with ill intentions, but he does not hesitate. Most guys around the league hesitate and question what they're seeing. He trusts his eyes.
What Coach Steve Wilkes have done is just simplified it. He keeps it simple. And through film study, what these guys talk about, it just releases him. And he has 2 guardian angels, which we'll get into soon.
You know what? That's a good thought. How about we do get into it a little bit more? Let's get some visual representation with Newton's laws here in Week 5 of the NFL season. All right, Nate, I want you to tell me, how do you block this front seven? Because it's not just Fred Warner. There's a number of guys that are going to have an impact.
Eric Armstead, number 91. Javon Hargrave. Yes, sir. These are the 2 guardian angels that I talk about. Number 98 and number 91. They play a 1 technique, and then they move out, a 3 technique, depending on where the strength at. Now, what we're going to do, because we don't have enough people to put on the set, we're going to use Kyle as my guard. You're going to be Fred Warner, and you're going to be Eric Armstead. Okay. Right here, we're going to go from an outside eye. Right here, what we're trying to do is, I'm not worried about him as much when we have that outside eye, because I know that right here, Zach Martin can handle this dude.
Nice.
So when we step towards this guy, the most I'm going to give is a hand. If I give more than a hand and he see that, I turn my shoulders, he going to shoot that gap. But what we're looking to do is I give nothing more than a hand, because he may be trying to replace, and I'm trying to keep him. Get your head kind of on the inside. Boom, he come. I can put body on him. He cannot run through 330 pounds. Well, I used to weigh it. I'm 288 now.
But slim down a little
dangerous
bit.
thing, and this was brought to me by Isaiah, our film acknowledges. when he's in a dangerous head up to inside eye. Now, this is when Fred is a beast, because me and him got to step and secure him. Once I secure him, Fred Warner's looking at from me to the running back. Now, if I sink my head too soon, he gone. Even if the running back is trying to get outside of Kyle, he's gone, and he's hitting him for a loss. So what we got to do is kind of say square and make him go out here, so I can push him off. Boom. And now we pass it. But if Kyle, Zach
Martin,
if you're a little slow all-pro and we hit and you come off late, now we still got anywhere from 3 yards to a loss. In Newton's law, there's always a reaction of what? A positive reaction, then a negative reaction. We want all the negative to be on Fred Warner. Okay? But these 2 guardian angels I talked about, Eric Armstead and Javon Gray, we got to handle them with our guards. So our center, Biotish, can handle Fred Warner. That's it, baby. That's the only thing I got to say.
Easier said than done, for sure. I mean, Nate did it for quite some time in a couple battles with San Francisco. Yeah, he's done it a few times in the past. This San Francisco front seven leads the NFL with 79 pressures this season so far. By the way, Dallas has the highest pressure percentage. San Francisco the most pressures along the way this season. It's a chess match, no doubt. It's a physical match at that standpoint, too. Yes. Nate doing a great job of outlining it here on Newton's Laws. But let's talk about this chess match a little bit more. Brian Schottenheimer and company, they got to get deep into the head of that defensive coordinator for San Francisco, deep into the defense. And here's Nick at night. Nick Harris for more.
When the Dallas Cowboys take the field against the San Francisco 49ers tonight, it's obvious that there's going to be a little bit more juice, a little bit more life in everyone donning the silver and blue, especially given how the last two seasons have ended for the Cowboys. It started with 2021, where the Cowboys came just short 23-17 against the San Francisco 49ers at AT&T Stadium. Jumped to 2022, same playoff matchup, same playoff result. This time 19-12 at the hands of the 49ers at Levi Stadium, but they get the chance to return to San Francisco and avenge that loss. One advantage that the Cowboys might have this time around in 2023 is a new offensive system, not only with Mike McCarthy being the new play caller, but also the fact that the Cowboys really haven't had the opportunity to show what their entire offense looks like through 4 games. Let's dive into it. In 3 of the 4 games, with 3 of those being the wins, they've turned out to be blowouts. In the fourth quarter, Dak Prescott and the offense mostly keeping things centered. Dak Prescott only having to throw 11 passes in those games. In the one loss to Arizona, things were simplified down to its core on the offensive side of the ball from the very beginning, with 3 offensive linemen being out up front. So going into week 5, does it give the team an advantage having so many unscouted looks?
You know, each year is different. I would say that that's definitely a possibility. I think it shows when we're at full strength and we got all our guys out there moving. It's just you got to kind of pick your poison and look and say, okay, hey, we're going to take CD away, or we're going to stop the run, or hey, we're going to do this. That's where we can be a tough matchup for people.
So what does that look like for the offense on Sunday night? What will they be able to bring to the table that they haven't been able to bring through the first 4 weeks? There's a couple of possibilities. Number 1, being able to stretch the field in the vertical game. And the first guy you have to look at is Brandon Cooks, brought in over the offseason with the full intention of using his speed down the field. You have to be able to get him going. In only 3 games for the 10-year veteran, 8 receptions for 66 yards. Getting one of, if not the fastest player on the team going, it'll be crucial towards offensive success on Sunday night. Next, being able to use the middle of the field in the pass game for Dak Prescott will also be crucial. Of his 136 attempts in 2023, only 26, roughly 19%, have been across the middle of the field. That number narrows even more between the hashes with only 5 attempts, 3.6%. And then lastly, being able to stretch the seams with weapons like CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. Those are so crucial towards this West Coast style type offense, or Texas Coast that Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott have been able to try and implement here in Dallas. Now, the offense having the ability to not necessarily have to unleash through 4 weeks, that's not a ridicule towards Mike McCarthy and the offense. It's just more so of a cause of the effect of not having to open things up in the first 4 games. But going into this matchup against San Francisco, you'll be hard-pressed to find a better time to unleash this uniquely unwrapped gift that you have here in Week 5. The only question that remains is what's inside that gift. Will it be coal for the Dallas offense, or will it be a dazzling gift in the form of offensive production? We'll see on Sunday night. Back to you, Kyle.
So since we're already referencing the gifts and the different coal, I mean, we've got coal heating up at AT&T Stadium. This is out at the Miller Lighthouse. Little pork roast out there. Some barbecue getting underway as things start to heat up in Dallas. They, of course, are about to heat up in Santa Clara as well. There's a zoom-in look. How about that? It looks good, though.
Looks tasty.
I saw the pineapple in the corner. I wanted that.
Is that what you want?
That's what I saw.
That grilled pineapple.
Vegetarian out here. Goodness gracious. Can't even get it past. I mean, you like barbecue.
I definitely like my barbecue, but
you just got to push it away.
But I'm a pineapple guy, you know what I'm saying? I like my pineapple.
I'm with you on that one. Pineapple good.
Right. Talk about it after the show.
Talk about it
afterwards. All right, let's go from pork to Lamb. How about that?
I like what you did there.
CeeDee Lamb is looking to have a big-time game against the San Francisco 49ers. He's kind of had some hit or misses against this 49ers defense in the past. How do you want to get him involved early?
You got to get him involved early and often. And I doubt that this San Francisco 49ers defense is going to let him get that deep shot off. I mean, they're going to have guys over top of him, whether it's a safety and somebody pressing him at the line of scrimmage. They're going to have people on CeeDee Lamb. But to get him involved early and often, I think you got to go to the screen game. So bubble screens, jailbreak screens, when he has the ball quick, fast, and in a hurry and can go around his blocks. I can't wait to see what CeeDee Lamb has this afternoon.
You know what? I'm with you, but I do believe that he has to take his shots over the top today.
Okay.
I think he's going to have one-on-one matchups all day long, regardless of how much they respect him. I think they're still going to play their version of their defense, which means that they're going to walk up, press you man-to-man, put your hand in the hip pocket, and ride you all the way until the cows come home. And I think that he's going to have plenty of opportunities to win over the top like the CeeDee Lamb that we know.
So pork, lamb, and beef now?
There you go. That's it.
Since the cows come home? I mean, we got Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb leads the Cowboys with 23 receptions, 309 receiving yards, and then that one receiving touchdown. Of course, he's the only receiver with a receiving score this season. So how do you get the other guys involved in a game like this? Who needs to have their best game of the year to this point?
Well, in order, if you have beef and you have lamb and you have pork, well, you got to be able to cook it.
You got to.
So if you got to do all that, you got to be able to have Brandon Cooks involved. And B. Cooks has been pretty much like Silent Lamb for the majority of the year, which means that you have to find a way to get him involved, okay? A lot of the routes he's been running has been short routes, 5-yard catches, 6-yard catches, and everybody wants to see him get pushed down the field a little bit more because of his speed. Well, not so fast, my friend. Utilize those same route concepts that he's been running underneath coverages this time, right? So these linebackers like to get about 10 to 12 yards deep. Run him on the drive route, run him on the shallow route, give him the ball underneath and let him utilize his speed to create that yak yardage, yards after catch.
Without a doubt, I'm with you on that one as far as Cooks having to have a big game against the San Francisco 49ers defense. But I'm going to go with a guy named Jalen Tolbert, all right? He's going to be their fourth wide receiver out there, and for the majority of the night, when they do go man-to-man coverage, he's going to be tasked with beating that fourth corner out there. He's going to have nothing but one-on-ones out there. If he's able to make a few key third down grabs and move the chains like that, I think that'll be a great impact for this offense. So to me, Jalen Tolbert, he's got to step up in a big way tonight.
Yeah, you got to see a couple guys step up in a couple ways. One guy that has been stepping up was Jake Ferguson. 7 receptions last week, 77 yards. Can you keep that same? How does he keep that same production going against a defense like this?
He's doing a great job, and just like how Jalen Tolbert's going to get those one-on-ones, Ferguson is going to get those one-on-ones as well. But he's going to have to deal with a guy named Fred Warner out there at the linebacker position that's going to be covering this guy. If he's able to get open on those zone coverages, not those man-to-man options, and move the chains in that way, I think Ferguson will have a big game, but he has it cut out for him this afternoon.
Yeah, he has his work cut out for him because Fred Warner is so athletic and he's so physical. But there's not going to be as much zone. As you just alluded to the zone, I think there's going to be a lot of man-to-man, which means that he's going to have to be very Jason Witten-ish, all right, to be able to get off the route at the top of this stem. He's going to have to be able to create some kind of separation and catch the ball. He has the most targets in the red zone in the entire NFL with 11 this year. You're going to need to see that, but you need to see it in with what? Touchdown.
You got to find a way to get it in the end zone because it hasn't worked out well for the Cowboys in the red zone so far this season. One other guy that might be able to get involved is the fullback, Hunter Lipke. Do you think there's a chance they could see a little bit more of the Lipke train working into the end zone? He did have a touchdown last week.
He did have a touchdown last week. And look, Hunter Lipke is doing this thing out here so far this year. And if you're on the 1-yard line, sure, give it to Lipke. He can go ahead and punch it in. But I think this offense needs to get better from the 20 yards in, from 10 yards in. And in order to do that, I think you got to get more creative with your wide receivers out there. And we saw a little snippet of that last week against the Patriots.
You know what? I don't have a problem with how they're utilizing him in terms of the red zone, though. When they get down there, all I need Lipke doing is busting those guys in the lip. Okay, I need him picking his forehead and hitting Fred Warner in the lip and anybody else that gets in his way. I want them to play bully ball once they get inside that red zone. Just stop trying to figure out ways to throw the ball around. Guys have been open. Guys have dropped plenty of opportunities as well. But when you comes time to run the ball, Lipke, bust him in the lip.
So it's not just Lipke, though. That you just want physicality across the board in the red zone.
That is the confidence of the 49ers. The 49ers feel like they're the bullies of the league. They feel like they can just walk out there and move anybody out the way. How do you take care of bullies? Well, you bring your boys with you, right? You bring your boys with you. You step to the line of scrimmage and say, we're coming right downhill. I got my dog Hunter Lipke with me. And anybody else that wants to get in his way, he's going to run straight through you. We're going to punch this ball in the end zone. Then guess what? The bully's not so confident.
Got to swing first. Got to swing first.
Did you stand up to bullies back in the day, or were you the bully?
Oh, no, I was nobody's bully. I had to stay I was just out there trying to make it, man.
just trying to get back. I can see Isaiah being on the opposite end of that.
We are not little anymore.
Oh, there's plenty of matchups to look at with this Cowboys and 49ers. I mean, for the most part, it's a challenge on both ends. These are two very good football teams, two very physical football teams. You can see that not only in the numbers, but in the film as well. One of those guys trying to set the tone and be the bullies tonight is DeMarcus Lawrence and company in that front seven for Dallas. Here's what he had to say at the challenge at hand and facing a very stout 49ers bunch.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game for us. But it's just like any Sunday. You got to go out there, work on your stuff, work on your craft, stay together as a team, and, focus on the win.
So this is not a measuring stick game?
No, it's definitely not. If we was in the playoffs again, for sure, but, we still got a long season. We just got to keep chipping away one game at a time.
How do you slow down Christian McCaffrey? He's been so effective since he's been there.
Main purpose is to live in the backfield. You live in the backfield, you keep them going sideline to sideline instead of cutting it up on the inside zones and stuff. Feel like we'll have a pretty good day.
DeMarcus Lawrence, one of the best run defenders on this entire Dallas roster, has his hands full with a guy like Christian McCaffrey. You just heard what D-Law had to say. He's faced Christian McCaffrey before. He knows the challenge at hand. So does Barry Church, who's seen McCaffrey a couple times in his career. We'll get a little bit deeper into what Dallas needs to do, but I want to take a look at which position group is in the line of fire for a guy like Christian McCaffrey. Is it more so the linebackers, or is it that defensive tackle spot?
I'm going to go second level with this one. It's going to be the linebackers, because with Kyle Shanahan's offense, you're going to see a lot of counters, a lot of eye candy out there. So to me, the linebackers going to have to play a huge role in slowing down this rushing attack.
Yeah, for the most part, Leighton Vander Esch, of course, Damone Clark, who's a little banged up. I mean, for the most part, this is a linebacker core that's very thin. So we're going up against a guy like Christian McCaffrey in a game like this. They have to play downhill, and they're going to have to fill their roles almost perfectly in order to have some success, right?
You got to. They got to come downhill. They're going to have to defeat blocks, because they're going to have a lot of combo blocks getting up to the second level. They're going to have to defeat those blocks and bring down an extremely elusive Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, he's quick, he's strong, he's elusive, but Barry Church, he's not perfect. And you outlined it last year going into the NFC divisional round, how to slow down Christian McCaffrey. 10 carries, 35 yards, 6 receptions for 23. He did have the touchdown, but overall, that's a minuscule stat line for a guy like Christian McCaffrey. Of course, this week, he's coming off of 3 rushing touchdowns, another one through the air. He brings that passing attack out of the backfield as well. So I want you to do it again. Can lightning strike twice in this Dallas defense slow down as we get into a little bit of church service here on a Sunday? How do they slow down Christian McCaffrey for the second straight time?
Well, first of all, they listened to your boy last year, Coach Church, and you see the numbers, they back it up, all right? They were able to contain Christian McCaffrey. They didn't get the W, but they contained Christian McCaffrey. And you know what? I'm so excited. I'm sweating a little bit out here. Let's just dive straight into the list, all right? Let's go ahead. Number 1, on containing Christian McCaffrey, we got to play disciplined football out here. And it's mainly for that front 7 and those linebackers as well. They got to be disciplined. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, you're going to see eye candy going back and forth. Don't let that distract you from your responsibilities. If you're supposed to be in that A-gap, Mozzie Smith, Odiggy Zua, those guys, stay firm in that A-gap. Make sure you trust your teammates to be able to do their job as well. Because if you're playing hero ball out there, Kyle, doing your own thing, that's when your defense gets compromised. That's when Christian McCaffrey's going to bust a 60-yard run. We don't want to see any of that come tonight. So for me, the defensive line, linebackers, follow your keys. Be extremely, extremely focused on what you got to do, because Kyle Shanahan will try to fool you with some eye candy out there. Do not let that distract you. You got to be disciplined out here.
So basically, you're saying go from point A to point B with no in between. You got to find a way to get the quickest route in the quickest area possible to get to that.
Don't worry about all that chatter. You're going to see back and forth motions. You're going to see offensive linemen getting up, getting here. Don't worry about all that. Focus on the task at hand, focus on your responsibilities, and trust your fellow teammates. This is a unit. This is a collective thing to stop this guy. They're going to have to be disciplined.
All right, what's next on the list? Because that's just one.
That's just one.
We got 2 more.
Just one. This is a dynamic guy. All right, I'm telling you, it's going to take more than just one thing to slow this guy down. Second on the list, you got to take away the space. Our guy, Isaiah Stanback, did a great visual breakdown of how to take away the space from this guy, because if you don't, he can hurt your offense, or your defense. I'm sorry about that. So when it comes to the passing game, take the space away. They love to put him at the slot. They love to put him at that hang position on the end of the line of scrimmage. His favorite routes are that angle route coming out the backfield, a shallow or an option route. That's his complete favorite, is the option route. And what I mean by that is he's breaking off of the defender's leverage. If the defender's outside, he's 5 yards and he's going inside. And vice versa. If the defender's inside, he's coming 5 yards at you and he's going the opposite direction. It's like pitch and catch with Purdy and McCaffrey when it comes to this. So you got to take away the space. I don't care if it's zone coverage or man-to-man coverage. Somebody has got to get their hands on. No free releases from Christian McCaffrey out there. You got to slow him up. Throw that timing off between him and Brock Purdy out there to make him go to another direction, because we do not want to give this guy the ball with space in his hands. He is a yak king out there. And I mean yak, yards after catch. We got to bring this guy down. Do not give him any space. Trust me on this, Cowboys.
Yeah, you got to get it done. So if you stay disciplined,
yes,
you take away the space, then you got to finish, right? I mean, that's really the last thing left.
Oh, yeah. This is a two-parter, too, Kyle. This is a two-parter.
Two parts.
You got a wrap tackle, just a little slash in there to make it a two-part, and you got a gang tackle as
well.
Is
that 4 points or is it 3?
It might be just 4.
Yeah, whatever.
This stat, you need 4 points. But anyways, when it comes to wrap tackling, I don't know what's going on in the National Football League these past 5 to 6 years, but all you see is guys going for the big hit. Throwing the shoulder in there, throwing the elbow in there. That's not going to work with a guy like Christian McCaffrey. He's going to bounce right off of that and take it another 60 yards down the field. So you got to take it old school. You got to grab him and hold him and bring him down. My old defensive back coach, Joe Baker, used to say, when the whistle blows, come up with a body part. I don't care if it's an ankle, a toe, a finger, a hand, whatever you got to do, come up with a body part to prove that you are bringing this guy down. And that brings me to my second part 2, Kyle. Here. We got to make sure we gang tackle. So once that first guy has him wrapped up, grabbed him and hold him, I need the reinforcements to come. My 300-pound brothers, I need my 280-pound brothers to come over here and put punishment on Christian McCaffrey. I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 hats to the ball at the same time, laying on this guy. Put that weight on him. Put that 300 pounds on him. Put that 280 pounds on him. This guy is an unbelievable athlete, unbelievable running back, but at the end of the day, he's really only 5'8", 205 pounds, and there's only so much a human body can take. So Odigizua, Neville Gallimore, and those boys, lay on this man. Put that pressure on this man. Punish him for 4 quarters. We needed him, and that 4th quarter comes around, we don't want him shaking for an extra 5. We don't want him putting that shoulder down and leaning forward for an extra 2 to 3. We want him going out of bounds. That's exactly where we want him to be, waving that white flag when the 4th quarter comes around. So to sum all this up, Kyle, look, you got to be disciplined when you're going against this guy. You got to take away the space in the passing game, and you got to gang tackle. If you do these 3 things, I'm not saying you're going to completely shut the guy down.
That's almost impossible.
That's almost impossible, but you will contain him and hopefully walk away with a W.
Man, if you can't see the intensity from Barry Church, that's the type of intensity that you need from the Dallas defense to slow down a guy like that. This is a matchup for the ages. It really is, because it's one of the best defenses in the NFL that takes the football away, and then the San Francisco 49ers that do so many good things on offense, including take care of the football. Micah Parsons understands that as well, just like Barry Church does on Church Service. Let's hear from Micah earlier in the week about the challenge of, hey, something in this matchup's got to give.
Yeah, something has to give, especially with Purdy. I don't think he's played perfect, but I think he's played really good, and I think there's opportunities there. People just haven't capitalized on. And, you know, he's been really terrific through, you know, past 2 years, and he's definitely solidified himself as one of them guys you have to watch, one of the top 15 quarterbacks and things like that. And, you know, Christian, I didn't think the way he always mindful of the ball, he's always high and tight. He always in Dr. Pepper mode. So, you know, he's just really good. And, you know, that's what you want out of your backs, guys, is going to protect the ball and not turn over. And same thing with Purdy. So we got to try our best ability to kind of reverse their tricks that they've been on.
It doesn't really matter which team you cheer for. Of course, it does matter if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. But it does matter for football fans, getting to see 2 of the best defenders go head-to-head, mano-a-mano, on the same football field in a singular game, prime time, under the lights. Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa. Since Micah was drafted in that 12th overall spot, 2021, he's been right neck and neck with the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Parsons and Bosa, 2 of the best pass rushers in football, getting after it as the sun goes down behind us here at the Star in Frisco. We welcome you into Cowboys Pregame Live once again. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Now, all right, which one of these guys has the biggest impact tonight? Because I'm just excited to watch them go head-to-head.
Man, that's a tough one to decide, but I'm going to have to go with Micah Parsons on this one. I feel like Dan Quinn uses him as a chess piece out there, so you'll see him do more, not just rush off the edge. I feel like Micah Parsons is going to have the bigger impact tonight.
I have to agree. You know, you guys saw the stat line right there, and you saw the man that actually had the ball in his hand, which was Micah Parsons. So I think Micah Parsons finds a way to disrupt Mr. Brock Purdy today and make him have a bad day. Listen, you just talked about how Bosa lines up on the right side. That's usually where he stays, okay? But this Micah Parsons, he's going to be everywhere. That's 3 R's, everywhere.
Man, I always like experience, fellas. Bosa's a bad man. But Parsons, you got to show up tonight, baby. You got to be the rain. You got to be the factor tonight, bro. I'm telling you, it's got to be Micah Parsons.
Okay. It's got to be Micah Parsons.
It's got to be.
Do you think it will be Micah Parsons?
It's hard to say because Bosa is going to get steal everything he wants. Bosa is very, very physical.
Okay.
He is the heart and soul of that team, so we can't let him get loose because, you know, and it was hard for me to go with Parsons because I love when a guy has shown that he could do it, and Bosa has shown that he can do it.
Yeah, that's such a fun matchup. Really, the All-22 is going to be so fun to go back and watch after this one's over. Micah Parsons is going to have a better day. I'll just throw my 2 cents into it. I think he has multiple sacks and maybe even forces a fumble in there as well. Why not put the call in? Why not? You're feeling good. You're feeling fresh here on a Week 5 big-time matchup in prime time. But do you get after Brock Purdy? That's the biggest question because Brock Purdy doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. He's still not lost a regular season game. The only game he lost was a game he left early, and that was in the NFC title game a year ago. So since he's been Mr. Relevant, he's very much so relevant now. He's turned things around on that San Francisco offensive side. One of 2 starting quarterbacks with 30 or more points per game as an offense since the start of 2022. The other one, Dak Prescott, by the way. Just want to throw that out there, too. How do you get to Brock Purdy, a guy who's still young, but shows that he just takes care of the ball?
You got to make him uncomfortable, Kyle. You got to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. He's shown that he has the ability that if he's not bothered at all, he can pick apart your defense. We've seen it already. No turnover so far this season. He throws the ball great. He's extremely accurate, so you got to make him uncomfortable. This is a job for Micah Parsons. This is a job for DeMarcus Lawrence out there. You got to get pressure on this guy, or he has the ability to pick you apart.
There's 2 things. First thing you do, you take away his run game. Once you take away his run game, guess what? Now he's just like everybody else that you face except for the Arizona Cardinals, where you forced him to pass the ball, okay? So now that he has to pass the ball, what do? Now you press your guys up. You play man-to-man coverage. You can't play zone against these guys. So take away the run, force them to pass, and then press coverage, and then let your dogs go eat.
As long as you're on their side of the field, light him up. I mean, just come with everything you got. But you got to pick it at the right time, you know. 3rd and long. You know, if you're trying to get home, get there, because if you don't, Brandon Ayuk will be on the other end of that.
Well, you bring up the weaponry. There's not just Brandon Ayuk. There's Deebo Samuel. We talked about Christian McCaffrey in church service a little bit earlier. Even George Kittle in there as well. There are so many guys he could throw the football to. Part of the reason why he takes care of the ball is because these guys get open so efficiently. Nate, when you look at these 3 guys, who scares you the most in terms of that weaponry for San Francisco?
Brandon Ayuk, 17 receptions, either first down or a touchdown.
Yep,
That's
all of
a
them,
bad
all
man.
17 of them.
Yeah, that's a bad man. Don't mess with him.
Yeah, that's facts. You know, and Nate just alluded to it. Brandon Ayuk, literally all 17 of his catches have either been a first down or a touchdown, like he just said. But if you're paying attention to him, then you're not paying attention to Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, if you go back and watch the All-22, all he does is hide out. The reason why he's been just hiding out is because guess what? Brandon Ayuk's been eating, but you still can't forget about that man. He doesn't need to go down the field in order to get his big yardage, because you give it to him at 3 yards, he's probably going to try to turn that thing into 30 or 40 yards.
Yeah, I got to go with Big Nate on this one. I mean, Brandon Ayuk, when you talk about a pure route runner, this is the guy who does it. When he catches the football, he's one of the best in the National Football League at yards after the catch. It's going to be up to Deron Bland and Gilmore out there to shut this guy down, but it's going to be tough because when you talk about splash plays and big-time plays, Ayuk is the guy. So to me, you got to know where number 11 is at all times.
That's so interesting. He might be the most underrated receiver in the NFL right
Yes.
now. He also leads the NFL in yards per target and yards per route run. He basically has a first down, I mean, like you said, every time, but it's more than just a first down. He's setting his team up for success every time the ball is thrown his direction. They've done that a lot in the past with guys like George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. I think those 2 guys are ready to get back into the limelight in a game like this. You know, those veterans are going to look to try and get going early. Plenty of spotlights to be shining in this matchup, one of which is now going on the sideline, where Nick Eatman is now meeting up with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
Thank you so much, Kyle. And we are joined by Stephen Jones here, Chief Operating Officer for the Cowboys. And, man, this is it. This is one of the games that we were circled way back when the schedule comes out. I know that you've said before, we have 17. They all matter the same. This one seems like it has a little bit more significance.
Well, obviously, it's a game everybody probably hadn't marked up really good. Our TV partners, everybody, knowing that, San Francisco was a top team in the NFL last year. We had a really good team. Of course, played a nail-biter here that we were on the wrong end of the stick. So I know our guys are looking forward to getting back in here and showing, that we can win a big game like this. And sure looking forward to it. This is why you play in this league, I'm sure.
Seems like a couple of years ago in the playoff loss, and even Mike McCarthy said they wanted to get bigger, stronger. That game kind of showed they needed to be strong. But did you learn anything last year in that game? It seemed like it was really close. You can't lose Pollard with an injury, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we lost Pollard, and then the other thing is just you got to execute and protect football. And going way, way, way back, whoever usually wins that turnover battle in a big game usually wins the game. So obviously that's something we've stressed all week is get plays on the ball, turn the ball over, and then hopefully protect the ball as well. So it'll be it's going to be an exciting game. They're really a football team that's been put together the right way with John Lynch and Coach Shanahan and their organization. We obviously like our football team and ready to tee it up.
Your quarterback, Dak Prescott, he's all week long. You can just tell the intensity seems a little bit higher for him. The focus is obviously there like it is every week, but have you noticed any difference with him this week and just kind of how prepared he is?
Well, as Dak goes, our team goes, and certainly he's always sets the tone the right way. I felt with our team, they were certainly focused on the task at hand and thought we had a great week of practice and going to be really surprised if we don't come out and play well.
Your weapons that he has, I mean, you've added some obviously in the offseason. We haven't really seen Brandon Cooks get it unleashed just yet. Do you think that's something we could see today?
I think you could see it. I think obviously he's a guy who we brought in here to take the top off. He's got, as we used to have a scout, life-threatening speed, if you will, and hopefully we'll see some of that today.
And your offensive line, this is from left to right. This is the group that you've been wanting to see. You haven't seen it a whole lot, maybe a couple times at training camp, but from Tyron all the way to Terrence Steele, are you excited about what you can see with this line?
It's always great. As you said, we got to see it at training camp quite a bit. I don't know that they've all played together since Tyler's been here.
Yeah,
I think Tyron missed the first part of the season last year. By the time he got back, Steele was out. So it's going to be great to have them there so they can start to really groove in on some continuity, and I know it'll make Dak feel better to see all five of those guys in the huddle.
One more, Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, he's one of their big weapons on the other side of the ball. They got a few, but he's one of the guys that you have to stop. Is that where the focus starts? Does it always start with him?
It does. I mean, you got to stop the run mainly, and certainly they got some talented guys, that can catch the ball, and Debo actually runs with it as well. But any big game, you want to really do a great job early of stopping the run. Certainly, he's one of the best in the business, not only at running the football, but he's a weapon catching it, and certainly we need to get after him early.
All right, sounds good. That's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Thank you for stopping by here. This big atmosphere, Cowboys and 49ers. We're going to throw it back to you, Kyle.
You can even hear it in the background. The hype is starting to rise there on the West Coast as the Cowboys get ready to face the San Francisco 49ers. 7:20 kickoff on NBC. Before we turn things over to the national broadcast, we got to give our keys to the game. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. Barry, I'll start with you.
My key is you got to win a turnover battle. I know Brock Purdy has yet to turn the ball over so far this season, but he has yet to face a rush like the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going with winning a turnover battle.
How many do they need?
Need two.
At least
one
two.
Per half. You got to have one per half.
Got it.
I'm going to go with negate the big plays, but you have to have at least 3 big splash plays. That means plays over 30 yards, not 20 yards, 3 plays over 30 yards. If you can hit them in the mouth like that, you might be able to back them off a little bit and be able to establish your run game.
I know they've given y'all statistics, but I need for Jake Ferguson to come up big. Because if he handling the middle of the field, seam routes, little option routes, that gives us a chance to go long. So that's what I need. I need Jake Ferguson. He is my key to this game.
Okay. Open it up. I'm going to go with Barry here. I've talked about the turnover battle in terms of my keys all year long. I need 1, I need +2, I need +3. I always do the card throw, but every time I've done that, they've not only equaled the cards that I needed, but they've also gotten a win. So I'm going to get back to it. I'm going to throw all three. You need to be +3 in the takeaway battle in order to get the win on the road. It's not going to be easy with the Cowboys and the 49ers. It's a battle we always look forward to. Enjoy this one, Cowboys Nation. We'll be back to break it down at 11 p.m. Central Time on Cowboys Game Night. But that does it for us here on Pregame Live, presented by WinStar World Casino and Resort. For Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. J-Ron Curse getting the boys ready as the Cowboys and the 49ers meet for the 40th time all time out in Santa Clara. Enjoy the game, everybody. 7:20 kickoff on NBC.